Welcome back. Recapping our top story, the Reserve Bank says Capitec is solvent, well capitalized and has adequate liquidity. It released a statement today after shares in Capitec Bank fell by as much as 25%, following a report that it may be concealing losses by refinancing its loans. The report was compiled by Viceroy Research, the same company which exposed Steinhoff's accounting irregularities and alleged inflating of its earnings. Capitec offers unsecured loans mainly to low and middle income earners. The report says Capitec may have to write down its loan book by 11 billion rand. This is equivalent to 14% of the bank's assets. It's described Capitec as a loan shark which overstated its loan book. Viceroy says the bank must be put under curatorship by the Reserve Bank. Capitec has refuted these allegations in a statement it released today. The bank says it's in the process of gathering information that will show that the allegations are baseless. Well, for more on this, we spoke to Bright Khumalo from Vestac. We started by asking him what this means for people who bank with Capitec.
I think the report is named something like a wolf in sheep's skin or sheep's clothing, whatever. Yeah, and the allegation is that, they're hiding basically the fact that some of the customers, this is now Capitec, cannot actually pay these loans, and then they're refinancing those loans in order to make it seem like they're paying these loans. So these always look like new loans. Yes. So it's kind of like, if you want to think about banking or this Capitec Bank essentially as a machine, and to keep the machine going, to keep the machine growing, is for you to take in more deposits, and then, lending those deposits to people that actually need financing, right? And then you charge higher interest on that, and then, some of the interest goes to the depositors. But the thing is here, you have to keep that machine going. You have to make sure you're still getting these deposits, and you're still actually issuing out more loans so you can make more earnings, right? And if some of those loans are actually going bad, it doesn't make any sense, because then the business is not viable. So you have to report accordingly and impair those loans. So the allegations here is that they're not impairing these loans, they're doing something funny with those loans.
Okay, what does this mean for me if I'm a Capitec Bank account holder, or if I'm a Capitec shareholder, if anything?
Well, now that the Reserve Bank has come out and said basically Capitec is in good finance, they're solvent, meaning their assets, are higher than their liabilities, and they don't see any problem here. So, to quote Chris Rock, there's no action in the champagne room. So yeah, so that basically, if they're saying that, I think there's nothing to worry about. But essentially, if Capitec had to go under, or something really bad had to happen to Capitec, South Africa is not known for having deposit insurance, so that could be an issue. But in the past, we've seen that that hasn't been an issue. For example, in African Bank situation, depositors never lost their money. I mean, you can go back as 2002 with the Sambo Bank, where there was run on the bank, where people were actually lining up outside the bank when I withdraw all their cash because they were worried. Right? Even then, in that case, someone came in and stepped in and said, you don't want to lose your deposits here.
What does a Viceroy stand to benefit from news like this, from Capitec's share price falling about 20% this morning, if anything?
Yes, so the Viceroy basically is three guys, two 24-year-olds, believe it or not, one from Australia, I forgot where the other one is from, and a 40-year-old, social worker, or former social worker. Now they started a hedge fund, and as a hedge fund, you also have your own opinions, the same way I have an opinion on Aspen going up tomorrow. So I can write a damning research saying why Aspen would go up tomorrow. So they also have the same, opinions that they have on their research about a stock going down. So that's why they're short the stock. So if the stock goes down and such news happens, they actually make money by that on the hedge fund side. So, and for those who don't know what short selling is, it's very simple. It's basically, let's say you have a bunch of Kruger rands that I believe that the value of those Kruger rands are going to go down tomorrow. Let's say they're currently worth 10,000 rands, and I believe that they're actually worth 5,000 rand. So I'll borrow your Kruger rands from you, and let's say I take those Kruger rands and I sell them in the market for 10,000 rands, and I wait until they actually go down to 5,000 rands, and then I make profits because now I buy them back at 5,000 rands, and then I give you your same Kruger rands, but I've made a profit of 5,000 rands per Kruger rand, right? And you would charge me, say, interest for borrowing your Kruger rands.
Knowing this, what you just said about what Viceroy stands perhaps to gain from not only this report, but obviously the Steinhoff report as well, how much credibility should people look at these reports when they come out? Because I know, especially in the journalism community here, when the report comes out,
it's a big thing.
There's excitement and yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's, I absolutely have no idea, because short selling is actually legal, right,
Yes.
in the markets. There's nothing wrong with short sellers. We all have opinions. But some companies actually don't take short selling, lightly. Whereas they should actually feel the same about, being long the stock, meaning actually buying and holding the stocks for long term. So, like I said, it's still their opinion. It's what they think. It's just that we don't have a lot of public short sellers in South Africa, that when someone comes out with such reports, and then it sort of gyrates the market a bit, because we're not ready for such a short seller. But we'll get used to all these short sellers. I mean, they're also part of the markets. They're good. On the Steinhoff saga, for example, they kind of exposed what was going on there. Whether when it comes to timing or what, I'm a bit skeptical there, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got Capitec's response earlier on, speaking to another news channel, saying that they don't think that Viceroy understands the business model of Capitec, and obviously we've seen the response that was just put up there on our screens. What do you make of their response, and is there anything that perhaps people should look at, seeing that the Reserve Bank has come out to say that they're solvent, and seeing that Capitec seems quite sure of themselves?
Well, short sellers, they usually go for the low-hanging fruit. A company that its share price has been going up a lot in recent times, and if you look at it in terms of the broader market, they seem to be an outlier. And Capitec actually ticks all of those boxes. If you're looking at where Capitec is trading relative to other banks, the average bank in the world trades at like a PE of 16. Capitec was trading in infinity, and you look at their earnings. One of the points that they made, Viceroy now, is actually a good point. I mean, their earnings, compared to the average bank, or actually any bank in the world, it's the best of the best of the best. It's like this Capitec company can do no wrong, so I mean, it is something to look at. Whether to call the whole company fraudulent, I'm not quite sure if that's fair.